Ben Albert. Welcome to the show, Ben.
What's up, Aaron? Let's have some fun.
How are you? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I joked beforehand. I'm tired today. You can't bat 100, but when I have an opportunity to hang out with someone like you on a cool show with awesome listeners, we're gonna do whatever we can to make this as an entertaining podcast as possible.
Yeah, well, I'm an expert on operating on sort of 3 hours sleep and a load of caffeine. That's kind of how I roll. So we
Yes,
don't
sir.
don't worry about it. It's all good. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Business, personal. Where do you want me to take it?
Where do you want to go? Because I'm happy to touch on both of those things. Yeah, and you've got your own podcast as well, right?
I do. It's called Real Business Connections. You asked me to
Uh,
talk about myself. What were you gonna say?
yeah, well, I'll dig in, right? And I'll ask some more questions about the personal and the business. Let's start with the podcast. Let's talk about your podcast for a bit, because obviously I've got a
Yeah.
vested interest in that because I'm trying to grow mine and do mine. So, what led you to starting a podcast?
Yeah. So it was 2020. I had just been let go. The pandemic hit. We all went through that. And I was let go from my sales executive role at a marketing firm. I had just transferred, new company, new division, last one in, first one out. So I get let go. And going back to my past, my dad kind of had a drug problem. I didn't have the best upbringing, and I found myself in a really bad place. I was drinking, I was self prescribing anxiety pills every Monday to get through the meetings. And then I got let go, and it was very humbling because it forced me into what I call accidental entrepreneurship, because I didn't have any podcasters on my wall. I didn't want to be the next Oprah or Brene Brown or Elon Musk or Bezos. I wanted to be a basketball player most of my life. Started in music marketing, found my way with marketing, liked it, was in corporate, but like I said, was abusing my body with alcohol and was very stressed and not doing well. So again, the pandemic hits, then suddenly an accidental entrepreneur because he can't find a job. And a good friend of mine said, Ben, you're a good marketer. You've been doing this in the music industry. It was since 2016, but I've been doing it for a while. He's like, why don't you just try to do it on your own? And I said, oh, I don't know how to do it on my own. So what I started, it's now called Real Business Connections Podcast. But at the time, I called it Rochester because I'm from Rochester, New York, in the United States. Rochester is my city. I called it Rochester Business Connections because I needed some. I needed connections. I needed mentors. I didn't know how to run a business, but I loved podcasting. I had been podcasting in the music industry since 2016. I thought music Ben is unemployed and non essential. Business Ben is a marketer and a podcaster. Started a business connections podcast because I needed some. And that was the seed, the possibility that created a possibility virus of all sorts of opportunities. And now it's like I pinch myself because this is 4 years ago. And I feel like I'm talking about the distant past because this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm passionate about. And you and I talked about this offline. 5 years ago, I was really, really lost. And now it's 2024. And I feel like I'm kicking some ass.
Love it, man. Love it. It's it's a difficult one, isn't it? Starting off on your own. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of it's because it's not just you've got the marketing background, right? So you're good at the marketing side of it, but then there's all the other side of it as managing your accounts and the sales and the day to day operation stuff of actually getting things done. And I take it at the start you were doing it all by yourself.
Oh, yeah, and I still do a lot of it. That's the number one thing people don't realize when they start their own endeavor is you become an accountant, you become a salesperson, a marketer, you do customer service, you send emails, you're your own assistant, and you can delegate and hire talent, but when you're broke and unemployed, you don't have the funds to delegate. But that's the beauty because I had a podcast, I had time, I learned. I learned the hard way, but I learned. And now I do delegate. And now I do have a little bit more time. But sometimes I feel like you need to get stuck in the mud, do some mudslides, maybe have a mud fight, really just have fun with it because it's not always easy.
Yeah, it's got you got to get like pretty good at a lot of things, haven't you? And you've got to get, you just got to kind of throw yourself in and try and figure it out as you go, really. Um, and it can be really rough. It can be tough. So it's kind of like you say, trying to enjoy it as well, even though it's hard. Trying to enjoy, get that enjoyment out of it, as you go through the process.
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes the negative Nancy. It is hard, but it's worth it. A lot of the most things aren't easy, but they're worth it. If it's too easy, oftentimes we take it for granted. And some of the largest rewards, building a business, starting a podcast, starting a blog, doing something creative. My friend does these canvas paintings. It takes her tens of hours. It's worth it because the final product, you just feel so good at the end that you accomplished something that you had only envisioned when you started.
Ben, changing from corporate into entrepreneurship, right, is going to be a big change. So, are there any kind of strong beliefs that you held before you started your entrepreneurial journey that you've now completely changed, gone 180 on?
Strong beliefs before my entrepreneur. Ooh, this is an interesting question. Is it fair if I take a moment to buffer here?
Absolutely, take as long as you need.
Because it's interesting because I think no matter where you go, there you are. And I don't think my values have shifted much over the years. Um, an easy belief is I think I thought it was easier than I thought it would be. Um, but at the same time, I thought that it was easier. I thought it was going to be easy. Wait, I'm getting confused. I thought it was going to be easier than it was, but I also underestimated my own skill set simultaneously. Like I didn't come out of my mother's womb a podcaster. I didn't know every aspect of SEO. I knew how to design a website. I knew some search engine optimization. I knew podcasting, writing. I had a lot of these nibbles. And part of me thought, I watch people online, nice cars, pretty girls, great offers. Part of me thought I could just start something and make $10,000 a month overnight and just like turn my laptop into a money printing machine. It was not that easy. It was difficult, but I underestimated my own skills and I underestimated my capacity to get better because it is difficult. But usually, the reason you fail is because you quit. The winners withstand, or they're willing to pivot if they're running in the wrong direction. It is okay to run really fast in the wrong direction, realize you're lost, turn around, ask someone for help, and then start moving in the right direction. But you've got me self reflective here because I thought it would be easier than it was. But I also, once it got hard, underestimated my own capacity. And I find most people underestimate the capacity of what they can accomplish just with a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra mentorship. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, you said a few interesting things there, Ben. And I think um, the thing about quitting is important as well. So I read something online. I don't know how accurate it is, but it said that only 1% of all podcasts have ever made it past episode 20.
It's crazy. They call it
Right?
pod fade, they call it burnout. I'm actually not that upset about it. What I get irritated with is I ask the question, what was your intention going in? Because I'm a firm believer. Let's say I decided I want to I wanted to be a ballerina. I just roll out of bed one day and I go, Ben's a ballerina. But then I go and I have tight hips. That's factual. Not the most coordinated person. That's factual. I'm very good at falling on my face. I actually just tore my rotator cuff a month ago falling. I might not make a good ballerina. So maybe I quit. There's no problem with quitting. However, what I don't like is people go in just dipping their toe in. I try not to start something if I won't commit minimum months to a year. So for podcasting, I recommend commit minimum 1 year because you might not even get momentum for that entire year. You never know. But even if you do every other week, that's just 26 episodes. Monthly is like nothing. That's 12 episodes. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, choose a frequency, commit to it, and then after a year make a conscious decision, am I willing to continue or not? But I think a lot of the reasons, and there's no issue with quitting if you won't put in the effort long term, quit. That's kind of fine. But I think people go in, like I said, with the money and the girls and the cars, they think they're going to go in, be a YouTube celebrity, be the biggest podcast of all time. I have a good friend that started a podcast under a fake name because he was sharing information he wasn't comfortable publicly sharing under his name. He had no listeners because they had never heard of this fake name and they weren't connected to him as a host because he was this random faceless person. Not saying that couldn't work, but commit to showing up as your best self for a long time. Doesn't have to be podcasting. Choose a year, create deliverables to make it happen. Again, this isn't just podcasting, this is anything you start. And then if you decide it's not a good fit, that's quite all right. But you just mentioned it. People quit like 4 episodes in. And what's the point in starting if you're really not that interested in making it work?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people expect just magic to happen overnight and don't think that actually nobody's going to be interested at the start and it's going to take time. And the way I approached it is I'm going to be awful myself at the start at doing podcasts, and you only get better by doing. So I'm doing as many as I can. Really, I'm just frequently pumping them out, and I figured until I get to 100, I'm probably not going to be that good myself. So then, why are people going to listen to me if I'm not actually got my own kind of my own rhythm and my own delivery right? Then this is pointless, right?
Yeah, and people love that, Aaron. Like, we're our own biggest self critic, and people might love you even when you think you're struggling. And when you document this process of podcasting, learning a skill, doing something for a longer period of time, the before and after is going to be really rewarding. And people are going to love, they might just be a day behind you, a week behind you, a year behind you. They're going to walk the journey with you. As you get better, the listener will get better, and you'll look back and you'll make fun of past Aaron, but you'll be so proud that past Aaron got those nosebleeds to get to where you became.
Yeah, and it's that willingness to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and and make mistakes and not that. That's why I do the live as well, because I quite like the fact that I'm going to make mistakes and I just own it. Then I'm not over editing everything and cutting everything out, and I'm being as real as I can be. This is who I am. This is me live. There's no false, fake anything here. It's just me.
I like the live too. I've been interviewing people on a podcast, and they'll be like, to try to make the wave because they know they have to cut, or they'll be like, "Can we cut that out?" Or can I There's been times where I've screwed up my intro, and I'm like, "Let me just go again, Aaron." But they'll be mid podcast, and they're like, "Can we just re-record that, this or that?" Blah, blah, blah. It's like when you're live, that is impossible. Take it off the table. Let's just do this real. Let's do it authentically. So yeah, I'm just taking what you said and adding an exclamation point on it. I like that you do the lives. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I like it. It keeps me honest. It lets the guests know that it's honest and it's true. And yeah, I just like it. I don't like the overproduced stuff. I was actually listening to the Diary of of a CEO earlier on. Have you heard that
Mhm.
podcast with Stephen
Stephen
Bartlett?
Bartlett. Yeah.
He said he's got a team of 50 people working on his podcast.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? The size of that and the kind of I couldn't believe it when I heard that. And like a lot of people when they start a podcast, they kind of compare to those people who are so far ahead. And so it's like, nah, man, just compare with yourself. I just compare myself to what I was like the last episode or the episode before and try and move forward that way.
I mean, would we compare ourselves to a national television show? Would we compare ourselves to a sitcom or a stand-up comedian's a good example? They spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours practicing. Now they have a 60-minute special. That's what we see. And we expect we can do that on our first try. They didn't do it on the first try. It was that podcast movement in Washington, D.C., here in the States. Stephen Bartlett actually was one of the speakers. And one thing he talked about was he doesn't see his show as a podcast. We know it as a podcast. He sees it as literally like a television show, a video series that can be on YouTube, can be on Spotify, but he also wants it on airplanes. He wants it in public areas. He wants it to be something that people watch as if it's a movie. That his vision is huge. I love that. It's the comedian that practiced thousands of hours for that one bit. However, to have that vision day one with a budget is not reasonable. It's something you work up to. He joked how he was getting tens, if not literally under 100 downloads per episode when he started. So that vision might have always been there. That's part of why he's successful, but you work up to it. I don't know anybody who has as big of a team as Steven with 50 plus people. That seems insane. One little thing he said is he has people watch the podcast before it goes out, and he uses AI to track the eyeballs so they can tell when someone's getting distracted. And another thing they do with this system is they use the space bar. So when I feel like emotionally driven, I can smash the space bar and it'll timestamp points that these pre-viewers were emotionally driven or bored. And then they'll take that and they'll cut fluff, and then they'll use these emotional moments to help create the trailer. It's brilliant. It's also not day one, but it's so amazing to inspire to be like.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and he's from a marketing background as well, isn't he? He's got his social media marketing firm that's how he got big and made his money
Yeah,
originally. So he's hot on all that stuff anyway.
he's
So
good at it. Yeah.
yeah, man. Ben, when you look back on the toughest moments in your life, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned from the toughest moments?
Wow. I'm good enough now and I'm only getting better. I didn't realize this when I was younger. I was one of the quietest kids you'll ever meet. I had the kindest brother ever. I had the sweetest parents ever. Um, but I never felt like I fit in. I was quiet. Um, I didn't think it amounted much. I thought I would just be the quiet kid who always hid it in the corner, tried to avoid bullies, have a couple friends. I didn't realize that I was good enough. You're always good enough. You can get better. I like to say you can be and become simultaneously. So I can be good enough. I can be talented and still become better. One of the biggest lessons I've had is dealing with imposter syndrome, dealing with being shy, dealing with neurochemicals like anxiety that I sometimes can't control, but giving myself the grace, usually, hopefully, in the moment. But if I screw up, I can give it to myself the next day to just be like, listen, man, like you're good enough now and you're only getting better. You can be good enough, but still level up. There isn't an end destination. There's no like glory land in this lifetime, at least. I don't know when I die, but there's no end destination. You're just going to constantly evolve. And I didn't know this, Aaron. And once I started to give myself grace, it actually gave me the capacity to give other people more grace. And then I started to show up as a better dude. and I'm more empathetic to the people around me because I'm kind of a hard ass. But I know when I see a screw up that they're actually not any worse than I was because I was a screw up. So, like, we learn this stuff as we go.
Sorry, having microphone issues there.
Okay, there we go.
Yes,
We're back.
we've got to work on that. We've got actually got a message in the chat, Ben. I don't know if you've seen it, if it's popped up on your end, but somebody's asking if you're single because that beard is fantastic.
Why? I can't see that.
It's come up with my live
Oh,
stream
live.
chat. It's from
Oh, shoot.
Twitch. It's yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we got, question, shoot. Are you single? That beard is fantastic. Um,
There you
I'm
go.
not single.
But let's talk about the beard anyway. How do you maintain that, Ben? That is a good beard. Let's be honest.
It's growing on me. It's about it. One, the dad joke is it's growing on me. It's people. Here's another thing. Like I happen to be really, really good looking. I'm kidding, but it's not like I chose this beard. I mean, I chose to grow it, but like it's just a beard. It's just growing on me. It's only like a piece of it. I don't use wax. I don't use oil. I sometimes condition it. It gets dandruffy. I don't think it's all that special. But you got a beard. It grows well. You lost your hair. You might as well grow it out. I sound like an idiot right now, but at the end of the day, like it's not that conscious. I'm just trying to look good. I don't know.
I respect it anyway. It's good. I got this little patchy, awful thing going on. So it just, what
Have
can
you
you
ever
do?
tried to grow it out?
I've grown out a bit. It's okay when it grows out, but I lose patience with it. Just it's easier for me to keep it short.
Fair enough.
Doesn't grow together. Kind of grows apart and just like spreads like all my hair, and then it just looks messy, and I can't be bothered with any kind of putting any effort into it. To be honest.
I feel like a diva when I think about it. I've spent so much money at the barber shop just in trimming the hair and trimming the beard. Like it is expensive and timely to maintain a baby like this because yes, if I just grew it out, it would grow wide. So you've got to trim it down. You've got to make it look nice. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm not one for effort. I roll out of bed and just I am what I am and just get on with the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But right, let's get back to something a bit more on point, I guess. Well, if you could speak to your younger self, yeah, the version of you before the pandemic, when you work in corporate, all that kind of vibe. What advice would you give yourself?
I I've been asked this question, Aaron. The reason I hesitate and I even like groan a little bit is I'm not convinced I would listen. I don't know if we have to add the stipulation that I'm guaranteed to listen, but my younger self would probably think I was being like a self-righteous, preachy jerk to try to give him advice. I kind of, and I wonder if I took that advice, if I would like create this sci-fi paradigm that the whole world would change because I took one piece of advice, before you know it, the world's burning. So, can I elect just to not answer the question because I think young Ben was an idiot and probably wouldn't listen anyways?
Yeah, man, I kind of agree with that as well. I think if I give my younger self advice, he just brush it off and say you don't know nothing, old man, and just crack on.
I think it's almost, it is kind of self-righteous to be like, I'm smart now. The younger self was dumb. So I'm going to give them advice. Like my younger self was exactly where I needed to be to get to me where I am now. So I mean, I guess the only piece of advice, I already said it, like you're enough. Like I got you. It's not even advice. I think a lot of young people, they don't need advice. They're hearing a lot of advice. And if they're related to you, they don't want to take your advice. Like they want to take it from someone else, anyways. Sometimes it's not giving advice. Sometimes it's just giving space. Being like, dude, I support you, or I'll listen to you, or I don't agree, but I get where you're coming from. So sometimes it ain't even giving advice, it's just giving space to let people figure it out on their own. You don't want to give them bad advice, but sometimes you don't have to say much at all.
Yeah, man. I think that's good, because especially in the modern age with the internet and everything, that everybody's out there giving unsolicited advice and pushing all this different advice, and it's overwhelming. There's so much in that. How do you pick what's right for you? And it's wild. You got to kind of find your own way, right?
A lot of it's crap. Like a lot of it's just rubbish advice anyways. Like it's sometimes hard to know who to trust. I can't hear you.
Sorry, yeah, you cut out as well that last bit that you said. I missed that.
All I was saying is a lot of advice is rubbish.
Yeah, man. It is. That there's so much of it out there, and people just want to cram it down your throat, don't they? I don't know why, but feel important, I guess.
Sometimes people are I'm this way. I'm not saying I'm not. Sometimes people are just insecure and they want to project their opinion on other people, and it's not always the best advice. It's like almost like fragile, that like I'm not confident enough in my own opinion that I need to yell it at other people, when the most confident, the most self assured, the most emotionally stable people don't feel the need to cause riffraff or try to give advice too soon. I think asking questions, hosting a space that people can figure out answers on their own is way more valuable than just like getting a megaphone and trying to yell as loud as possible. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. That's it, man. That's coaching 101, right? Just trying to get them to find their own path, and your goal is to nurture people and bring them through to find their own path, because they might have better ideas, they might have different ideas. It's not necessarily wrong. It's what's right for them, and about finding what's right for them, and not cramming what we think down their throat all the time.
Yeah, that's like the next stage of marketing and sales too. Cause there was a point where it was like, I've got the best product, you need it, blah, just yelling advertisements at now we've been advertised too much, so much advertisements. People don't want to be sold to, but they do want to be empowered to buy. So it's the same concept. It's courting them, it's leading them to make a business decision with you without trying to shove your solutions down their throat. And it works in marketing and sales. It works in relationships. It works in all kinds of human behavior. Rather than trying to force your ideas upon people, give them the data and the inspiration to make the decision on their own. And even if they decide to work with someone else or follow a different path, they are more empowered to make a better decision. And a lot of times they'll want to follow your path, work with you because you got them there. But if not, no harm, no fall. There's plenty of people in this world that we can help.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it. There's plenty of people out there that will want to work with you, and sometimes it's about, if especially if you're working, with somebody, you want to have that bit of a connection to that person, and not everybody's right for everybody.
No, I took it businessy quick. I don't know if you want to go businessy, but I kind of
We,
went on a tangent there because all this stuff we talk about, like it works in all areas of life, in my experience. It's not just a business conversation. It's not a sales conversation. It's not a podcasting conversation. It's a life conversation that if you work really hard, if you care about people, if you empower people to do their best, it's going to benefit you and allow you to do your best as well. In my experience, I could be wrong, but that's what I'm looking for.
yeah, I like that. Ultimately, people a lot of people see this as a business or career question, but it's not. This is a life question as well. So, success. What does success mean to you? What do you see as success?
It's such a moving needle. I don't have a perfect answer. My simple answer is greatest impact in the least amount of energy spent. Greatest impact least amount of energy spent. Gaining money is a benefit of impact. I'd love to be filthy freaking rich with no effort. However, it's not quite that easy. I know if I can create a strong amount of impact, that's benefit. But I also don't want to work 100-hour weeks either. Like, I'd rather be wealthy with a 20-hour work week than filthy rich with a 100-hour work week. So it's how can I create the greatest impact with the least amount of energy spent and do it in a way that's sustainable? Because another aspect of success is, how does my body feel? Do I feel clear or am I foggy? Do I have strong relationships? Do people like me? Can I go to sleep at night knowing I've done good? So it's impact in less time with good relationships, a healthy body, and strong friend group with a peace of mind that I'm ethically doing all this. There's a lot of moving parts here, but none of them are specific metrics, because I could be a billionaire that's scamming people and that's not success, and I can make $10,000 a month without scamming people, have fruitful travel, great friends, and love what I do. That is more successful than the billionaire scammer. So, where is your metrics? I feel like the needle moves, but I just want to create impact in little time. Like, if I could just like use that magic wand and like the world would be better, I would. Like, less time is good because time is short and it's fleeting. But all we can do is our best, man. I know I'm getting all existential, but like, as long as I did my best, I'm good. Like, I'm just trying my best, dude.
Yeah, I love that, man. And do you think that's a common misconception that people? Because I was that way when I was younger, where success I always thought was loads of money, materialistic stuff like cars, houses, that kind of stuff, and that's what was my picture of success when I was younger. It's changed now as I've kind of got older and become more wise and realized actually my health is important, actually my relationships are important, actually, there's a lot of other things that feed into life for what I would call success.
Yeah, you can have both. People have different interests. Some people love travel, some people love cars. I enjoy basketball. I'd love to have my own basketball court that I can play at any point in my backyard. The material stuff isn't bad, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. You can have both. You can have material stuff and still have good health. I think the problem is people focus only on the material stuff, and that's just a slice. That's the big problem. Nothing wrong with liking things. However, it's just a slice. It's like maybe 10% of what success is.
Yeah, absolutely. um, what's something about your personal journey that people don't often see or understand, but has been crucial to your success?
It's pretty boring. Um I love podcasting. I love doing events like this. I put out a lot of content. There is vulnerability in the content because I'm a screw up in a lot of ways, but it's relatively polished. Every book I've ever read is pretty polished. Most things are polished. Behind the scenes, like, I'm in a weird spot right now where I have a new client and it's a lot of work. I'm probably going to be up until at least midnight tonight doing administrative, monotonous, boring stuff. So I'll spend 8 hours doing something boring so someone can get 20 minutes of just the gold. So I think a lot of people don't realize that it's not always glamorous. It can be boring, it can be meticulous. I don't enjoy every aspect of my day. I find enjoyment in the process, but I'm not like jumping up and down on a trampoline that I have to do administrative work, but it's all part of the puzzle. Like, if someone were to tape me all day long, most of it would be more boring than you expect. Just doing creative stuff in the corner of a room.
Yeah, I think that's what people forget as well. Everybody thinks it's going to be really exciting and like just just constant joy when they start a business, when actually it's a lot of the opposite, right?
Or you can hire someone that finds joy in the boring stuff, but like not everyone has that luxury and not everyone's a big enough celebrity to do it. Like you look at all the content creators, you look at all the wannabe influencers, the thought leaders, not that many people like make it big time. If I was a Taylor Swift level of talent, I wouldn't touch anything but music and entertainment and hugging my fans. Unfortunately, Aaron, I'm not Taylor Swift. So I don't have that luxury. It's just the reality of it, you know?
Yeah, man. It's one of those, isn't it? When you look at these people who are successful, they have massive teams, and people are trying to kind of copy these people, but they have massive teams of people who are like experts at marketing, expert videographers, and stuff like that, who are
Yeah.
doing a lot of this work. So that's why I think that comparison bit is just really bad for us to compare to, these people who are, got big teams behind them, are so far ahead. Compared to yourself. That's why I always say, compared to who you were yesterday or the day before, and try and take them. I call it marginal gains. I kind of stole that from a cycling team, where it's, you just that 1% improvement, just constant little improvements, and over time that just adds up to a massive improvement. And when you look back, you'll actually see how far you've come.
Yeah. You're so right with the comparison too, because like I might never achieve Taylor Swift level of success, whatever that means. Um, But as long as I was the best Ben Albert as I could be and I enjoyed it, like who am I to compare myself to this celebrity? Like I think we're hard on ourselves. I think those daily improvements are important. And that's what matters most.
Absolutely, and we got to kind of just enjoy what we've got as well. We're all looking ahead to the future, wanting this, wanting that, but it's important to enjoy what you're actually living now as well, and that little, process, them baby steps towards, where you might never ever get there. So you've got to enjoy that effort and trip to try and get there, I suppose.
Yeah. I like hiking. I'm just imagining I try to get to the top of a mountain and I accidentally get to the top of a different mountain. I'm still going to like the view from the top. I could be like, crap, wrong mountain. Or I could be like, wow, it's nice up here. Let's have fun.
Yeah, it's an attitude thing, right? That's how you look at it, how you approach it. Because you
Yeah.
could be like, right, day's ruined. I'm off home now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
So, what do you want people to remember about you the most and the work that you've done?
Oh wow. These are big questions, man. What I want I think I want them to remember my beard. Because apparently that's the lady killer. That's what everybody
Uh,
loves. So
hey, you've been a hit so far.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to get all dark for no reason, but I don't care that much to be remembered. The way I see life is um an action, a good deed, a piece of content, a hug, a hello, donating to charity. It's all just tiny little pebbles creating tiny little ripples in a massive ocean. And 1,000 years down the road, if no one remembers my name, I will not be surprised. Name 10 presidents from over 100 years ago. Name freaking world leaders today. I don't know all the world leaders as it is today. People might not remember me, but if I throw enough tiny little pebbles in that big ocean and I create enough little ripples, my words, how I made people feel, maybe some of my actions and my contributions will be benefited and remembered. But if no one knows it came from Ben, who cares? Like, I'm probably going to be forgotten. Again, I don't want to get dark, but there's celebrities that passed away 2 years ago. And a lot of people forgot that they were some big celebrity. Like, who am I to think that I'm going to be the next Jesus Christ or Martin Luther King or Mother Teresa? Who cares, man? I hope I'm not upsetting people, but I don't know if our lives are that important. Like, just have a little bit of fun. Don't worry so much, you know?
Yeah, man, I like that answer actually. I've asked the legacy question a few times, and I quite like, your real raw answer, because ultimately I feel the same. People don't remember us generally, unless they're loved ones, family, close family members and stuff. They don't, and even them, they got their lives to live. They live it on and etc. So they'll think about us, but that, it won't last forever. Um,
Can I say something actually
yeah, go on, man.
controversial?
Go.
I think people that think about legacy daily and are super like tied up on it, like it's super, I think they're narcissists. I think it's very self freaking obsessed to think about your legacy every single day. Like, it's not about me. I want a better world, but I'm not like some savior, hero, guru to do it. I think if you're thinking about legacy every single day, I don't know. I think you might be a narcissist.
Yeah, man. Ultimately, you're probably right, because ultimately, I think all we have is the moment that we're living in, right? That's all we have. The past is already gone. We can think about it all we want, and we can reminisce or whatever. But it's gone. It's done. It's happened. The future's not here yet, and that could change. It could be anything, or we could not get a future. I mean, we could die tomorrow. Nobody knows. So ultimately, all you have is this one moment that you're living in,
Mm.
and that's all anybody ever has. So to think that people are gonna you can have a massive legacy and keep it going, I think it is a bit pretentious, really. I think you just kind of think a lot of yourself to think that actually you're gonna have this impact for years to come, unless you do something. That there will be people out there who do change the world with some sort of magic medicine or something, but those people are dedicating their lives to that field, and that's kind of how that comes about.
It sounds so draining to be so worried about legacy all the time. I don't know. I do think it takes a certain level of drive and narcissism to do something unrealistic. So I don't think it's a negative thing. I just don't judge my success based on some huge metric. I just judge it on what you said. Like, have I been happy, healthy, and had a good day? Because what if I die tomorrow? I think you and I will probably live at least till 115. You seem like you got pretty good genes. But what if I don't? I'm still going to do the best I can while I can, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you just got to realize that it doesn't go on forever, and once we're gone, we're gone. There's no that you can say legacy all you want. All it'll be is fond memories, really, for people who loved us, the people we're close to, and the really strong relationships we built. And after that, people move on, don't they? And it's a new generation, it's a new life, and they got their own shit going on.
Yeah, yeah. If I die, I'm saying this live, so it's in stone. If I die, I want everyone to have a water fight. Super soakers, freaking water balloons. I want everybody to get in their bikinis or take their shirt off and just have a flat out water fight, because I want people to celebrate the shit we were able to accomplish and not be sad. Life is a celebration. So if I pass away, get out your largest super soaker, head to Walmart or your nearest retailer and get the biggest water gun you can, because we're going to party.
I love that. Love that. I got,
I'm
I
making
got, I
this up as
got.
I go.
No, I love it, man. I love it. Go for it. Enjoy it, innit? Ultimately, right? Because I got asked this question. There's when I was doing my will, etc. It's like, oh, do you want to be buried or cremated? I don't care. When I'm dead, I don't care. I'm gone. So whoever's surviving me, whoever's wants to honor me or remember me, whatever works for them. That's what I said. Whatever works
Mm.
for them. Because ultimately, why do I care? Why do I want to make it awkward and be buried? I don't know, 400 miles away or something, just to be awkward. Just like whatever works for the people who actually want to remember me if they want to.
How does that work on a will, though? That's too gray area. Does it literally say whatever they choose, or did you choose either or?
I just put no preference.
No preference.
Yeah,
Then
so
you're
that just
probably
leaves it
going to get
open.
buried then. People like burials. Cremation seems less expensive to me, and I don't want to create riffraff, so I'm probably going to be cremated just because I want it to be the path of least resistance. I don't want to be a task. Ben is already gone. Hopefully his soul somewhere, but Ben's gone. Let's make this as simple as possible. That's my perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. Cremation seems to be pretty popular in the UK. I think
It's good.
it'd probably be best they do burn me to make sure he's gone.
Just in case there's remnants of
just
you.
j- just in case we don't want him to come back. We've had enough of his shit.
Is that how you avoid ghosts?
I don't know. Maybe it's worth a try, right?
It couldn't hurt, right?
Yeah, because if I get a chance, I'm definitely going to come back and haunt some people.
That's another thing. Like, if I have the opportunity to haunt some people, I'm not going to just like sit around knitting for the next billion years of existence. I'm going to play some pranks. So if I come back as a ghost, you better believe I'm playing a prank on you.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be bad, real bad. Yeah, but so we're getting a bit dark here, right, are we? We're talking about the end, right? So if the end were to happen tomorrow, right, for instance, would you have any regrets, or would you be satisfied with what you've done so far?
I don't know, man. I guess I'd have to be there. Um, it's a tough question because the correct answer is yeah, I probably would have regretted a thing or two. Um, I don't think the emotion in my body when I think about regret isn't changing anything that happened. So would I have regrets? Probably. I don't think that serves me though. It does remind me though that maybe I'll journal about it tonight. Like if there's regrets, then there's opportunities to do more. Um to live like it's happening tomorrow. I don't know. This is dark and you got me introspective because I'd like to say I don't have regrets, but who doesn't have a regret or two? I think it would just be lip service to tell you I have zero regrets, but I'm never going to die regretless. That's just part of life. Like things don't go exactly as we planned, you know?
Yeah, I get that, man, and I think we'll have regrets of stuff that's happened, maybe, but I think maybe more so when I think about that question, I think about is there stuff that I'd regret not doing that I still have the opportunity to do, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? To kind of really take life by the horns, really, and live it.
Absolutely, dude. I like to joke that I give things like 112%. I probably give them about 93%. And my 93% is still more effort than most people give cuz I think people just walk around lazily just kind of robotic. Not everyone gives 100%. I probably give 93. Tell people I give 112. I probably give 93. Could I give 100? Yes, I probably could. I could be more supportive for people. I could be more present with people. I could tell the ones that I love them more. I can worry less about money and worry more about what's most important in the time. We all have these moments where we're working and someone needs our attention and we choose not to give them attention because of work. There's lots of things. I think 93% out of 100 is pretty solid. I think I could probably get it to like a 96 or a 97. I don't think we're ever going to have a 100 out of 100. That seems impossible to me. Perfection is something to regret because we're not going to get it all right. We're never going to score 100. That's just reality.
Yeah, man. And I seen something I've probably seen on TikTok or somewhere rubbish like that, but I like it and I kind of buy into it. Like some days, right? We're stressed out. We've put loads of effort into something. We really don't have much to give. But if you've only got 20% to give and you give 20% that day, you've given 100%, right? So you've given everything you could that day. And I still don't think we do that to that quite degree. And you're probably right, more like 90% of that we're given.
Yeah.
But you know, we got to let ourselves off the hook a little bit as well, because we are human and we do, try to take on a lot, and we do need to, appreciate that sometimes it's going to ebb and flow and it's going to be ups and downs with it. We just got to, try to do our best and not beat ourselves up that we're not able to deliver, at our best all the time.
Maybe this is too much grace, but I think a 51 out of 100 is fine. So if you think about the analogy of like a little pebble creating a ripple, I'm not quite sure scientifically what causes the ripple to stop. Maybe you put in a wall to impede the ripple's ability to go. Um, if I create more ripples than the ones I stop, if I get a 51 out of 100, I created a net, and I know this world isn't this like mathematical and logical, but if I get a 51 out of 100, I did better than I hurt. Some people, unfortunately, this is me getting a little preachy, they do more damage than good. Maybe they're murderers. Maybe they're predators. Maybe they're just bad people that I don't know why people are bad. Like, this is a whole tangent because I have love for them. But as long as I get a 51 out of 100, as long as I do more good than bad, I feel like I added to society. Because what is society without each other? Not all of us can be 100s. None of us should be zeros. But if we can get a 52, a 58, if we can try hard, if we can have a bad 30 years, but then spend 50 years wrong, correcting those wrongs, bad 30 years, 50 years of good, we will have a life worth living. So 98 sounds amazing. 60's fine. 65's fine. Just do better than 50. Do more good than bad, and I won't be upset. If you do more bad than good, get out of here, man. Those are the people I don't want in my circle. The ones that do more bad than good. Because the ones that do bad but do more good than bad, like at least they have like goodness going in them. But people that are just terrible people, the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world, yikes, dude. Like, those are just bad people. I've never thought of this equation before. I don't know if it makes sense. It's very simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it, actually. It's quite easy to understand. I like it. But because like a lot of people do think that it's just black and white, and there's good people and bad people. Actually, we're all bad sometimes. We're all good sometimes. It's just about getting that balance in the right direction, and you know, like you say, being good more than you are bad to, move the needle in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the hardest decision you've ever had to make in your life?
The hardest decision I've ever had to make. These questions, man.
Yeah, man. I'm hammering you with them today.
The hardest decision? I don't know, man.
It
What
can be
is
business, it can be life, whatever you
what's
want.
the hardest decision you've had to make?
Oh, damn. Now you put me on the spot.
Well, it's like I haven't made that many hard decisions. Most decisions aren't life or death. I've never been through a divorce. I've never hurt someone to an irreparable level. I've worked at bad jobs, but leaving them's not that hard. I don't know, man. I you tell me, what's a hard decision look like?
I think it's relative to the person, isn't it? It's all different for everybody. Um, it like it could have been your business stuff to, if it was going difficult and you decided to persevere rather than quit that. Um, it can look a lot of different ways, can it really? But you've put it back to me as well, and I'm struggling with it myself to figure out, what is the hardest decision.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think I've made a lot of tough decisions in my life that were, when you say them, they probably don't sound that difficult. But to me, at the time, it was difficult. So I did nearly 10 years in the RAF, and I chose to leave to when I had my daughter to be at home. It wasn't a tough decision, but I was walking away from something that I actually loved, and I kind of did want to stay there. but I did the right thing and the best thing for my daughter. So that was a difficult decision to make. But equally, I'm glad I did it, and now I wouldn't change it.
Mm, that's powerful. That's an example. Getting a divorce is an example. I feel like I could write a book, Ben Albert, A Non-Difficult Life. I don't know, man. I ask myself this one question. I always ask, what's the worst that could happen? And if the worst that could happen is I'm basically where I started, it's an easy decision. I haven't made, wow, if we're getting reflective, I've never been married. So maybe I'm afraid of those hard decisions. Maybe I just skip them. Is that possible?
On an avoidance scheme.
I'm a huge avoider. That's brilliant. I don't make hard decisions because I avoid them. The problem is if I never make a decision, someone will make it for me. So,
Yeah, man. That's the danger, right? And
whew,
that's the problem. If you don't face up to stuff.
I'm sweating, dude. Whew. Oh man,
Right. Let me take the pressure off that one then. Let's go to what's a failure that you've had in your life that you're most grateful for?
failure that I'm grateful for. Getting let go from work. To simplify a long journey, I was working at one company. I built a book of business. I wasn't huge. I was relatively new, but I had just gotten over the hump. To build a book of business at this firm didn't happen overnight. So I had just got into the hump that I was going to have residual income and a lot of reoccurring stuff going on where the growth potential was unbelievable, or at least it felt that way at the time. The division of that company got bought from another company. So as I got bought, the book of business was no longer mine. And I had to start from scratch at the new company with zero book of business, zero clients, just doing it all over again. And that was the company that I was at for a short little stint before the pandemic hit and I got let go. So it was hard not to think that the past multiple years, if you really want to be dramatic, my entire career had led me to this moment and all of it was taken from me. And I had to start from zero. And for what it's worth, with NDAs and the kind of clients I had, it's not like I could just call up a client and poach them. I started from zero and I definitely felt like a victim and I definitely was irritated with HR, but there was no changing it. But I really felt like a failure because I had led myself up to zero. My whole life led me up to broke, unemployed, pandemic. But in that middle of that difficulty, what do they say? There's opportunity. And I'm grateful that I had enough failures, skills, time, persistence, that if this happened to me 10 years ago, I would have screwed it all up. But 2020, this happened to me. I'm at zero. I had been prepared for this. I had been preparing my whole life for battle. I won the battle. I didn't win all the battles, but I'm doing good. And who knows what we can accomplish if we keep on. A lot of people are in a dark spot at some point in their life. They forget all that data, all that experience, all that failure, all those skills are just preparing themselves for a bigger battle. And what happens when you go to battle when you're prepared? You're going to win. You might not win, but hopefully you win more than you lose.
Yeah, man. At least you'll put up a good fight, eh?
Yeah, that's a good point. As long as I put up a fight, it's okay. I can't beat everybody, you know?
That's it, man. That's it. All right. This might be a deep one for you. When was the last time you felt truly vulnerable?
I mean, today. What's here's the thing. Maybe I get a little caught. I think very rationally. What do you mean by truly vulnerable?
So to be truly vulnerable is probably, for me, to say truly vulnerable would be a moment where I feel that I'm not in control, and a bit out of my comfort zone, out of, and I just don't have control of the situation. I'm a bit worried. I've kind of put myself out there, and I'm a bit worried about how it's going to go.
I mean, that happens all the time. I never know how things are going to go. Truly vulnerable to me, Aaron, as I think about it more, is like I have a secret that I haven't told the world and you just discovered it and I can't hide. That to me is truly vulnerable. And I think we all have a secret that we haven't told the world and someone spotted us and we can't hide. It could be something dumb. Like I'm a little OCD. I like eights. So not a lot of people know that when I drink a beverage, I'm counting to 8 in my head. Not that embarrassing when someone discovers it, but I still felt vulnerable in that moment. It's not something I talk about. There's stuff that I'm not going to say because we're live. We can maybe talk about it offline. I've never done anything irreparably bad, but like there's a couple times in my life that like I treated people poorly and I really wish I hadn't treated them poorly. Um, Let me ask you this. Is it okay to keep a secret or does the world need to know it all?
No, the world doesn't need to know it all. But you need to be comfortable with the you that you're bringing to the world, don't you? I think that's what it needs to be, right? So as long as you're comfortable with the you, and ultimately, we've all got a past. We've all treated people badly. We've all done stuff we not proud of or regret, right? And if you, as long as you make peace with that yourself, you don't need to be parading that about or dragging it around behind you. Ultimately, it's about finding that peace for yourself. And like you said, getting that 51% being more good than bad going forward and try and go forward in a positive manner and, be positive, leave those positive ripples, like you said.
I can do that. So we're not all perfect. I feel like we all have our own crap, right?
Absolutely, mate. We've all got a big bag of baggage and crap that we drag around. And the trick is to find a way to let that go. However, that is for some people, that is sharing it, right? For some people, that is sharing it publicly. Sometimes it's sharing it privately with a friend or with a therapist or whatever it might be. And sometimes people are able to just cope and deal with it, and they can put it to bed and make peace with it and move on themselves. And ultimately, it's just about finding that peace for ourselves, right? And
Mm,
not so it's not weighing us down and we're not dragging it around with us.
yeah. If you go to sleep at night and it comes to mind every night, that's a problem. One thing the Amish do great that I'm not as good at is forgiveness. When someone does wrong, I would have never forgiven them, but there was a situation in America where someone came in, shot like 12 children, and the community forgave them and the family, which seems insane. You killed 12 of my children, my tribe, and I forgive you. There's power in that. And I also think it's sometimes easier to forgive someone else than to forgive ourselves. So I'm working on it. I think we all are.
Yeah, and I think I can't imagine how difficult something like that would be, that kind of situation. But I think forgiveness isn't for the person that you're forgiving anyway. It's for yourself. It's allowing yourself to let go of that anger, that resentment, that because it doesn't serve you in the long run. I know we'll all feel it. We're all human. We'll all have that. But being able to let that go and come back to that place of peace, that's the power of it, right?
Anger is poison. I think anger is a poison.
Absolutely. It just tears you apart if you're an angry person and if you're constantly angry about stuff. Because it's like we said, it's you know I could be at home being angry about something all the time, or being really irate about something, but whoever I'm angry at might not even know. They don't care.
They
Like,
don't
so it's
care
not
at all.
no. So it's not serving me to be angry. It's all this, the only person that's affected negatively is me. So what's the point?
The person, I'm just generalizing here, but the person you're angry about thinks your anger's cute. They think your anger's cute. It's a little charming. They pity your anger. Now, everyone needs a good enemy, but really, a lot of times our anger is cute. It's trifle. It's not that big. We just make it bigger than it is.
Yeah, we definitely do. But I think it comes down to that thing that we are the main character in our own movie, right? So we think we're way more important than we are. We have this because we're living our life, and we think that everybody's thinking about us all the time, or what they think about us, what they do. Nobody cares, man. They're getting on with their own shit.
The character in the movie analogy is great because I never thought about it this way, but like there's extras in movies. Like everybody, there's extras. There's always I'm saying this with certainty. I'm sure there's movies with like 6 people in them. Let's just assume there's lots of extras. There's gonna be someone in that movie that's so far in the back, swamped by people, where you only see like a piece of a hair, or maybe you see their ear or a string of their beard, and they are basically not in the movie. They are irrelevant to the movie. They're just a string of beard in the background. But they think the movie's about them. You think your movie's about you, but all anyone sees is the tip of your ear. It's not about you 99% of the time. Unfortunately, it just isn't.
Yeah, that's it, man. Ultimately, for every person, they are the center of their own show, right? So they are the focus, and everything else around is just noise, unless it kind of serves them or feeds into what they're doing.
Mm. Do you think we motivated people, or do we think we made them depressed and introspective and irritated?
Yeah, maybe the second one.
I do find usually a lot of my motivation comes from irritation. So maybe if we irritate you enough, you'll be motivated to change things, but I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, but I like it though. It's real, man. You know what I mean? It's like this is life, right? So I could be upbeat and just motivational all the time, but that's not how life is, right? So sometimes we got to talk about the downsides and the crappy stuff as well.
Dude, Aaron, I can be motivational too, but you're like, you die tomorrow. Do you regret stuff? And I'm like, like this got dark, dude.
Yeah, I dragged you down that hole, didn't I? Down that rabbit hole.
I'm okay, man. I'm on the surfboard with you, man. We'll go wherever.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I love it. So, on that note, it means that we are still dark and dreary and bringing people down. Let's talk about fear or insecurities, right? So, do you have a fear or insecurity that you've had to constantly battle with, and how do you keep it from holding you back?
A fear and insecurity that holds me back, and how do I stop it, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of my motivators are fears and insecurities. I reframe things. Like a lot of people's biggest turd sandwiches are actually gifts. Like you could be surrounded by turds and you still get to be the pony. Like I was a shy kid. I didn't have the worst family. They were very kind. But my dad abused himself with drugs and alcohol. My mom had a neurological disorder, um, multiple sclerosis. So she was deteriorating. And like, I didn't have the best childhood. And I felt disconnected. And still sometimes I feel small. I feel shy. I feel disconnected. What a gift, though, because I know what it feels like to be there. So some of my biggest values are connection, growth, fulfillment. And I wouldn't have those values. It's like a freaking plant. It's like a lotus flower is a great example because lotus flowers grow in the murkiest of areas. I wouldn't have that flower without that murky environment. So we can shame or blame or feel like crap about it. But a lot of those difficulties are what shape us and what actually allow us to be qualified to shape others, or more importantly, just live a good life ourselves. But you talked about it earlier. It's the awareness and the understanding and the acceptance. It's not being the victim, it's being the victor. That I came from a murky area. I'm still going to be that lotus flower. I'm not going to be that sludge. It's a
Yes,
choice.
absolutely, it's a choice. It's how we approach things, and I think that's a massive deal that does kind of our outlook and the way we look at things and the way we look at challenges and difficult things. We can either fall into it and let it drag us down, or we can actually take a lesson from it and go, yeah, actually, I now I got this. No, now I've learned this, and we can move on from it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's sludgy.
Yeah, man, it can be. It can be. What's the future hold for Ben Albert then?
We'll see. According to this conversation, we could both pass away in 45 seconds. Who knows,
This
man?
this could be it, mate. This could be it.
I want to have good moments doing things I'm passionate about. I want to have impact, but I don't want it to burn me out and ruin myself. I just really want to do the thing. I'm putting out a podcast. I'm helping clients with their thought leadership. I have a great relationship. Sounds like I'm not good at making decisions, so maybe it moves to engagement soon. The future is uncertain, but that's part of the beauty of it. I'm just going to keep what I'm doing and hopefully get better, but I'm going to do what I'm doing and I'm just going to try to scale up every single day. Like you said, little bits better every single day. And then who knows where we can accomplish? Who knows where we'll be? We'll see. What do you think, Aaron? Like, what's the future look like for you? Do you even know? Some people know. I'm not sure.
Nah, man, I take it a day at a time. So
Yeah.
I'm very very much trying to. I try not to look too far ahead. I just think there's so many variables, so much can change, so many things can happen. So I try to live in them. I never used to, but I do now. I've the last kind of few years, I try to live in the moment more and try and enjoy the moments that I have, because ultimately that's all we've got as far as I'm concerned. And in
Yeah.
in the future, things could be completely different, or like I said, could be around your house haunting you or something. Who knows?
That would be fun. Like, I don't want to be a jerk, but if you promised I'd have 1 billion years of haunting my friends, that might be fun. Just playing pranks for people as a ghost. Oh man, don't cremate me because I want to raise my probability of being a ghost.
I love that. Yeah. How can people find you then, Ben? How can if people want to get in touch with you or want to listen to your show, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm sure there's something in the notes. One thing I always say is I'm a guest here. So if you haven't showed some love for Aaron with liking this, subscribing, share, massive bonus points if you leave a review, leave a comment, go the extra mile. You can find me by typing in real business connections pretty much anywhere you found this, real business connections, or just Google it, real business connections. You'll find me there. But show some love for your boy first, because this is Aaron's show, and I appreciate the time here. And I think it's cool we did it live, so no editing. You guys got it
Yeah,
raw.
they did. I appreciate that, Ben. I will drop a link in the show notes as well, so people can find all your stuff and whatever else. And we were talking before the show actually about the live comments, and I said that we don't really get any, and we had one today, didn't we, about your beard? So I
There you
feel like that
go.
might have was that set up.
Yeah. I don't know who Vengeance. Oh, and then Cassie. What a smacking show. Yo, listen, I like the comments. I don't
There you
know you
go, man.
guys yet, but please let's connect and have a conversation. I appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah, you're the most loved guest on live, mate. I'll tell you that much.
Smacking show. That's the first time I've heard that one. I think we did something right.
Yeah, maybe it's all the dark talk and the death. I think that's what it was.
Some
People loving it.
people, dude, I know we're trying to end this, but I like studying cults, human psychology. Sometimes trauma porn's fun. There's darkness isn't bad. There's darkness in the world. If we don't talk about it and imagine it's just not there, it's not going to go away. So I am open to the fact that we talked about some darkness today and hopefully we shed a little bit of light on it. I don't think it was too murky, was it?
No, I enjoyed it. I don't think we should avoid, the dark stuff because, that's life, right? There's some dark, there's some light, and we all try to navigate it together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring this into land now. It's been amazing having you on, Ben. But before we do go, I'm just going to ask, do you have any final thoughts or um, a final message that you want to leave people with?
Click subscribe. How was that?
I appreciate it. Even if they don't, I appreciate it. So it's great.
I
Love that.
appreciate it, man.
Ben, it's been a real pleasure having you on. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Take care.